for Saigon Buffalo, and maybe Saigon Buffalo with 2-game wins in this series. Of course, we'll find out the answer to that in the next half an hour or so, or maybe Rebel will get a 1-hour-long bloodbath. We haven't had one of those in a long time.
Yeah, I could do with a 60-minute bloodbath here in the VCS. I think that would spice up this week quite a bit. It'd be a funny, entertaining experience for you. I know you have to cast after this as well, so I'm sure your voice would like a little bit of warm up for whatever you're about to go do.
Man, I've got 3 best-of-3 series to cast today. It's going to be a fun one, and then I've got 2 more best-of-3s to cast tomorrow as well. So, if anyone would like to attend the funeral of my vocal cords, I'll link that in Twitter at some point. But we are seeing both junglers heading in, starting on the bottom side of the map. Interestingly, BJ not opting for the Lee Sin. It was available, but Saigon Buffalo have decided we are going to put BJ on the Viego. And in terms of what a Viego can do compared to a Lee Sin, I'd say it can directly carry a game a lot more if BJ performs well.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday inside of the VCS, this being a pretty slow pick comparative to something like the Lee Sin, which can accelerate a lot faster. And Saigon's laning hasn't been particularly enticing. I know last game there were some fun plays from the Akali, but ultimately it feels like they've been outclassed for both Hosmed and for Froggy in both their top and mid lanes. So to me, at least, this is a bit of an interesting one because I feel like BJ would probably feel better, or I guess Saigon would probably feel better with something that facilitates a bit better, like the Lee Sin or something else like akin to the Lee Sin that would have that accomplishment. But clearly, they think very differently because obviously they're willing to put BJ out a bit more of a carry. He's been having a standout series so far, so maybe they're putting some more trust into him being able to carry the team.
Now, I do really like this Saigon Buffalo composition, but I think the one thing that stands out to me is it doesn't really sit in terms of what we expect from VCS teams in terms of their playstyle. Usually when we see VCS teams, a lot of skirmishing. And here is our first little skirmish, or I guess you could call it a gank. Hook shot, Marcus, Izzy out, flash forward from Hasmed. 1 auto, not quite enough. Hasmed will tank 2 tower shots and will die in the process. So it's a 1-for-1 overall. But critically, first blood goes to the Saigon Buffalo top laner.
Wow, Marcus holds the ignite, drops it onto Hosmed right before he gets out from underneath the tower, and it prevents that Q from giving him anywhere near enough health to survive that last auto or that last tower shot from coming through. So it does end up just being the 1-for-1. Good early pressure from BJ because it's not very often that you're going to be able to find something like that. But understanding that Marcus without flash doesn't have a bunch of escape means outside of the hook shot, especially when Hosmed has the flash and the ghosts to work with, they understand what is going on. And especially if you get the Tryndamere ahead, I think this laning phase gets a lot more insufferable for the Camille because eventually it's just, if you go into an auto-attacking battle up against a Tryndamere, you're eventually just going to lose most of the time. So I feel as though that's what they're going to be banking on. Hosmed didn't lose much of his wave, which is also quite nice because he's going to be able to step right back into this and snag as much as he can. But Ikigai now gets his chance to make an impact on the top side, which will feel far more impactful against Hosmed just because he's going to lose a fair amount of this crashing wave if he goes down.
I do want to touch back onto the point that I was previously trying to make, which is this composition from Saigon Buffalo doesn't... Again, we got another fight, and it's Froggy picking up the solo kill on to Yoshino. Now a dive on the top side of the map. I'll never be able to make my point. I'll let it drop. Dive onto Hasmed. They get the kill, and this time there will be a fair bit of CS being lost by this Tryndamere.
A bit of the sacrifice here. There's no coverage for top side. BJ is on bottom side, and there's a solo kill in mid lane, so Ikigai just feels completely comfortable going for a dive, because there's also no teleport on Froggy to really make anything happen, but underneath the bottom tower...
Abyssal dive gets a knock up onto Slater. Slater trying to sidestep the Spectral more, but the damage comes through nonetheless. As that being dropped down, Arte, the shield is massive. The tower shots isn't enough. Shogun just needs one more auto. Arte doesn't know where to go. Taki is just watching him the entire way, gets the knock up. Shogun picks up the kill. 2-0 on the Aphelios.
What a dive on the bottom side, because they end up sacrificing the life of BJ for everything to work out. This is a solo kill in the mid lane, which is a little bit shocking because Yoshino the last few games has really been flexing on Froggy in the laning phase. This is the first time. I love the Vex pick for Froggy. I thought it was going to be something huge. He's going to pick up and be a master at pretty much immediately. So hopefully this split shows a little bit more of it. That right there, the adaptive shield was really helpful for denying a bit of the trade damage, because even just a 1-2 auto attacks from Hosmed probably would have made the difference of the kill onto Marcus right there. And then of course course, the bottom dive. Again, BJ going down in exchange to make sure the Shogun gets a bit more. We get to see the remainder of that play. I really loved Taki taking one more tower shot with that little gray health shield that he was able to snag, because yes, it did cost BJ's life, but that one tower shot would have made the difference between Shogun starting to tank tower, especially with the incoming Yashida, would have made a massive difference.
Okay, Shadow Surge has been dropped by Froggy onto Yoshino, but nothing will come of it. In fact, Team Flash, it still have priority in the river. Do Saigon Buffalo look to contest? Taki is not looking the healthiest of Toads right now, and Team Flash will be able to secure the first Drake of the game.
I think they're okay with that. They're more akin to a gold lead. Hospital's only level 5. He's going down to Marcus. Oh, he gets out. Oh, no.
Predicts a sidestep. Hazmed falls. Marcus at 2 and 1. Hazmed 1 and 3. This matchup is Camille favored, if I can trust U.GG. Sometimes it gives them weird matchup predictions.
You can't, but that's not the point. In this particular game, what's nice about this for Marcus is that the first kill gets traded back and forth. They get a second one in between him and Ikigai, and this was a great capitalization of the experience difference that he was able to have. Again, that wave that got crashed underneath the tower, while yes, some of that got shared by Ikigai, the kill was enough to get Marcus into a very positive situation where right now, level 7 to level 5, Husband's got to be really close to that level 6, but that level of experience that Marcus was able to capitalize on. How about the youngster? His second split wasn't a full-time starter in the previous one, flexing against one of the better top laners that we have. We always laud Hosmed for being this really talented top laner and having a lot of really positive play, even when his team is not doing well. But in this series, Marcus really has been the better of the two.
Mark has been performing admirably well so far. Also, Rebel, are you sitting down?
Yes.
Froggy has a CS lead.
I told you, man, if you leave him alone and he gets to play out his laning phase normally, he's not a bad mid laner. He's a good mid laner. In the last split, there was so much talk about this. I talked about it all the time. When they just decided to consistently put him on Galio and just say, okay, go to every skirmish, things were problematic, which is why I love the Vex, because Vex has so many ways to control a wave, and the ultimate lets you have more impact inside of skirmishes and stuff. And then, of course, I think Yashino looked a lot more uncomfortable on this Galio than the Rise significantly. Not to mention, this is like, in terms of the lane, Galio basically has absolutely nothing against the Vex as a second solo bolo for the boy in the mid lane. Froggy flexing right now.
It's time to uninhibit the ribbit. Ikigai looking for the play. Super Mega Death Rock is going to take Froggy alone. There is nothing Froggy can do here. Or is there? He's dropping the thumbs up. He's dropping the BM. Artie is coming up as well, but Froggy will fall. Artie gets the kill. I thought Artie was out of range there, so I'm not quite sure how he got that one. But either way, Artie gets the gold into his pockets. I don't know if that was a shutdown.
I don't think it was, because I don't think he was out of combat long enough to end up being a shutdown, which is kind of nice. The first two games, Yashino was really doing it to Froggy, so it has to feel nice for Froggy to be able to just jump in on top of a Galio, pretty much underneath his tower, to find kills like that. Look at that! This isn't Froggy! Like, when did Yano get subbed in for Saigon Buffalo?
Ruby's
What is
back
this?
in.
Yeah, Ruby's okay. All right, disrespectful. That's crossing a line that we don't need to cross, Milk.
I was just trying to think who's the only other mid laner that I know plays for Saigon Buffalo. I was like, it was Ruby, I'm pretty sure. I'll just throw that name in. I never actually got to cast on Ruby playing back in the spring split. But we do have a Rift Herald being picked up by Team Flash. And this game is still relatively close. 5 kills to 5, barely any goal between the two sides. And it's looking very reminiscent of what we saw in Game 2.
Biggest thing is that right now Marcus has this big advantage over Hosmed, and that's not going to go away pretty much anytime soon. This means that Marcus, when you combine him with the Galio, I mean, this is like a pretty old school combination inside the VCS to throw Camille Galio in. I know Team Secret was big on this alongside the Nocturne. Like the Galio delivery system was like all Team Secret. So Flash being able to bring back a little bit of that. Taki comes to top lane to help out his top laner a little bit. Not likely to find anything aggressive against Marcus. But the big thing is your bottom side has been set up to great success, right? Shogun's up 2 kills, has a little bit of a CS lead. Froggy's humongous right now on the Vex, especially against a pretty weak Galio. They're in a good place on the bottom side. It's just about getting this top side back in place.
There's a delivery system that we talked about, that you talked about, Revel, the Camille Galio combination. Hazmed uses the Undying Rage. Shadow Surge comes in. Hazmed will be able to survive, but Froggy and B&J are here to pick up a kill. It makes it a 1-for-1 overall, but B&J not done yet. Uses the Heartbreaker. Can't close in onto Marcus, but they could look for Yoshino. Shadow Surge goes wide, but Yoshino, where are you going to go? Artie cut off from this fight, and it's just going to be the dive under tower. The Wild Growth buying so much time. Tower shot not enough to kill B&J. Artie incredibly low, still alive. Marcus joining into the fray. Hookshot comes in, picks up an easy kill onto B&J. Now looks for more, looking for Froggy, but Froggy still so healthy. Marcus incredibly low. Artie and Marcus under the tower, and there is a huge minion wave there as well. Froggy not done, neither is Harsmed, and Taki here too. Has the Devour available, jumps in, Ignite ticking down onto Marcus. Artie still alive as well, but no further kills come through. And guess what, Revel? We're still tied 7 kills to 7.
That we are. And the bottom side, Team Flash is gone after the Dragon, which is Ikigai, who has just been focusing on making sure that some of these objectives are going to the way of Team Flash in exchange for some of the plays across the map that Saigon is using in its attempts to get their players into the game like this, right? The gold advantage is not anywhere near what it needs to be for Saigon with these objectives traded. Maybe this is a bit of a change because Hazman, if he gets his ultimate back up, has a legitimate threat to Marcus and Artie. At minimum, they're going to have to back, and they're not going to be able to come back with the TP. So Hazman should have some free time on this tower. But that it appears to be that's what Saigon really wants to go for. They lost the Rift Herald to Ikigai in the midst of all of that kind of pressure, and they lost 2 dragons. But they're really looking to get their characters into a place where the gold is going to feel good. The Aphelios wants to be able to team fight. Vex is already on the Ludens. It has looked great in the course of this game. BJ is also punishing. He's a Kraken Slayer of Viego in this game.
Okay, VCS teams, can you have a bit of respect? Because Rebel's trying to make some good analytical points here, and you guys keep interrupting him. Yoshino almost died. This is aggressive because he gets hit by 1 Mistral Ball from Froggy. He could die. And now Ikigai looking towards the bottom lane, but Taki is here as well. Who is stuck in with who? It's looking like Saigon Buffalo want to be starting up the play. The Crescent Guard has been dropped, which means that Shogun can't quite get as much damage down as he would like. Misses the Moonlight Vigil as Artie and B&J looking to join into the fray as well to make this a 3v3. Shogun's going to cancel his back as well, but Taki, so incredibly low, is forced to return to his fountain.
That's Ikigai trying to force something onto the bottom side, try to help out Slater and Artie a little bit more, and they're going to be able to probably crack this tower even without the usage of, or actually the Rift Herald was already used to be able to help crack the bottom tower, but that is going to be the bottom tower cracked completely for Slater, which puts their Jinx in a very nice position in this game. The trade-off, of course, is that, like, so far your mid lane has kind of just been bullied pretty much entirely. Your top lane is slowly, they're both going up in gold, which eventually, again, Tryndamere is going to feel fine into this, but it's still a ways out just because of how powerful that Marcus is. But this is the trade-off, right? It's like you could continue to lean into your Camille and attempt to really focus into Ikigai and Marcus and the delivery system of Galio, or you could put your team fight together by getting gold into Slater. And they've really shifted into Slater, getting more of this tower gold. I want to see them move him almost to top side and try to punish this top lane tower a little bit further. Let the Camille have this long lane against the Tryndamere to continue punishing him with.
Hats off to Shogun there because he held on to the flash when Ikigai showed up. That is bravery and that is confidence in your own ability. That little sidestep of the Windy Comes Lightning. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Harsmed's very low, and he dies with the Undying Rage available, and now the Hero's Assurance drops in, and BJ will fall as well. Harsmed disrespecting the damage of Marcus, and that has to be possibly the biggest oopsie we've had this split so far.
Hazmed, what is happening today, my man? It has not looked like this is not a Hazmed day. This has not been a very good showing. Anybody watching, this is not what he usually looks like. He's usually very good. But Marcus has been incredible over the last couple of games. That right there was another indication of it, because Hazmed trying to hold the ultimate as long as he can. But again, this is a Divine Sunder. It was a charged Q. You had so much burst damage. It's a massive amount of damage that's going to be dropped into Hazmed, just not expecting it apparently, but I feel like that should have been something he should have popped well before that fight had even started, or well before that auto could have ever gone off. But unfortunately, he just gets caught completely off guard by it, ends up costing that entire play. And then the worst part, kind of just to add insult to injury, it was Yoshino jumping in on that play just to punish BJ a little bit further and put him into a little bit of a hole. And this is the trade-off once again. I kind of don't want to watch this. This feels really bad for us, man. There was the empower Q. Oh, I thought it was an empower Q that killed him. He just autoed him to death. What happened? Hazmed, press your ultimate key.
Maybe his R key broke.
Maybe.
Okay, right. So we're at this stage in the game where I need to bring up one very important point because Rebel, sometimes we're in sync and we've got, the same vision. And I like to make sweeping statements. Now, when we made our predictions as to how this split would go, we both put Saigon Buffalo as the third best team, and we both expected Team Flash to be the worst team. Having seen 2.5 games, where do we want to put Team Flash now, as Marcus is just going to bully Hazmed? We'll ignore that.
Oh, actually, we'll see. Hazmed's got some damage. Okay,
he's not
never
kidding,
mind.
Marcus.
Doesn't matter. The last little bit there, I was thinking an E would come out, and he drops an auto attack, and that's going to cost him Silver Spirit Imperial. That's an interesting, I guess, philosophical dilemma here, just because we have no basis by which we understand Saigon or we understand Team Flash at this point. All we've had is SEA games, but I don't think those are purely indicative of how the split is going to go, because if that's to say anything, right now Saigon is on the level of GAM, because they went 1-1 against each other and beat every other team inside of SEA games, so like they should be tied for top of the table, even above Cerberus at this point. So Team Flash, I think they're performing very admirably. Their prospects are definitely going up. I don't think they necessarily look like the bottom team after what we saw yesterday. It's, to me, more of a question of how good is Saigon, because if Saigon is still sitting as our 5th best team, this doesn't actually mean that much for Team Flash. But if they're sitting as our 3rd best team, this is a lot more impactful. So I think we need a little more context, just because I'm not sure. From what I've seen today, both these teams look good, but there have been plenty of mistakes from both sides. Specifically, Saigon, I think, have made some really crucial errors that have cost them in a couple of these games.
Some slight mess-ups from Saigon. That being said, I think game 1 and 2 were both very good. I think we saw some good gameplay, even if teams did get caught out. I think even here in game 3, this has been a good game. It's just been that Mark has absolutely stomped Hazmed in this matchup.
Yes.
As we kind of said earlier, slightly Camille favored. Once we get a few more items on the Tryndamere, maybe this turns around. Froggy's just waiting. He's waiting. He's saying, Marcus, go in. I dare you, Shadow Surge! And he misses the mark! Pun intended. Marcus hookshots out to safety. And, well, Saigon Buffalo get nothing out of the play.
It's tragic because Froggy has a good amount of gold and a good amount of potential to have agency inside of a game like this. When BJ is down this far, or not necessarily down, but on a champion like this Viego, and especially goes for like the Kraken Slayer, it feels like you have a lot less impact because you have a lot of damage, but it's really focused on being in that melee range and not really being able to survive a bunch. It's about getting those Kraken Slayer procs off for BJ. And so because of that, Froggy, with the advantage he got, I really want to see him get around the map and have impacts like this. If he lands that on Marcus, Marcus doesn't have a lot of magic resist to work with. That means that he probably gets chunked down far enough to where not only can they get a kill onto him with Hazmed and with Froggy, but they can then push for bottom tower. And that's a lot of gold kind of influx into Saigon Buffalo. Unfortunately, does not come to fruition. So the play thought is there from the side of Saigon. I like that Froggy's going to get out and about a little bit more, but you got to be able to capitalize on plays like that.
And one of my issues for Saigon Buffalo's draft was, oh no, Marcus, you got, oh my god!
Oh, it's Cho'Gath ultimate on like an 8-second cooldown.
He's just going to do that again and just kill him.
Yeah, maybe. It looks like Hazmed has decided that is not his fate today, so he decided to back off and just give this bottom tower, but Marcus is an absolute menace at this point.
Absolutely, and I think my issue for Saigon Buffalo's draft was the fact that with what they had drafted, I don't think it was able to skirmish well, which is what we have come to expect of VCS teams, as Taki's stuck in a bit of a tricky situation. Will be able to Abyssal a dive out. Now the focus being dropped down onto BJ, as in goes a Froggy. Shogun gets the kill onto Ikigai. BJ now trying to get onto Yoshino, picks up the kill with a Heartbreaker. And Marcus, maybe a little bit too late to the party, means that Saigon Buffalo get 2 kills for nothing. And they could look to take the Baron Nashor on spawn. This could be incredibly risky, especially with Marcus still alive.
This is super fast, though. You've got a Tryndamere, you've got a Kraken Slayer Viego, and you've got a 2-item Aphelios to be able to rock this with. Look how fast this has gone down. It's already half health. It only literally spawned 8 seconds ago. They're losing towers for it. I think this is the trade-off. Yes. Slater ultimate. I don't think you're going to be able to pop it. They're not going to be able to steal. There was defense from Taki. Everything was okay right there for the side of Saigon Buffalo. The trade-off was they give up immediate gold in exchange, or I guess immediate tower structures in exchange for this Baron buff, which does get their gold pretty high. I mean, it's down to a 2,000 gold advantage for Flash, and hopefully they're going to be able to convert this into more outer towers, because bottom outer is still up, mid outer is still up, things like that. And everything in this play, everything was so weird because it looked like the miss of the Moonlight Vigil, the Galio engagement was looking great for Flash. And out of nowhere, Froggy just lands in the middle of this team, throws down the W, flashes out, and all of a sudden Team Flash has no legs to stand on. BJ gets to bully off what was the Galio on the left side of the fight. And after those two are down, there's just no fight remaining from the side of Team Flash. It felt like it was one really quick pick from Froggy that did make a massive difference. We love to see it. It's very, very seldom that we've said anything about Froggy being able to win out a game for Saigon Buffalo, but it feels like he has to be one of the people that contributes incredibly to a game like this. His backline presence is so big on this Vex. That's going to push back Slater. That's going to push back some of the backline, and that's going to mean that Marcus is going to have to really play a lot more safely to make sure he doesn't just die on the front line and give his team up completely in a team fight.
Hook shot, Marcus going in. The focus is onto Shogun. Does he have the damage? Well, everyone is collapsing down. Shadow Surge used, but Marcus is still full health. Moonlight Vigil doing a fair amount of work onto Slater's health bar and onto Yoshino as well. But do Team Flash want more? When it comes Lightning, lands onto Shogun and Hasmed. Saigon Buffalo with one member down. Ocean Drake here as well. Hook shot, the focus onto Beanchay. As the hero's entrance is dropped down as well. Froggy just trying to do his best to poke down the members of Team Flash, but this is an Ocean Soul.
Drake.
And Saigon Buffalo surely have to try to contest this, but they can't. So it's just gifted over to Flash.
It's a painful situation. I don't think you could take a full engagement right there against Team Flash, so I respect that they're willing to go up against the Ocean Soul. It's a tough one, but it actually has a pretty low win rate, believe it or not. I'm pretty sure Yulwei is the one that it always... Yeah, he basically just shit talks this Soul is not really ever having much of an effect. My fear for it in a game like this is that it makes Marcus nigh unkillable. Already, Marcus is incredibly hard to defeat, especially because the magic damage pretty much exclusively comes out of Froggy at this point. So you combine that with a bunch of self-sustain, especially through what is effectively burst patterns from the Vex that can't outright one-tap Marcus, and you throw that alongside like Lulu, who's been able to use like the ultimate and then everything else to defend this frontline Camille. And it feels like Marcus is just going to be able to stand in the front of everybody and not worry whatsoever about anything. As the damage starts to come through, eventually, your Trinamir is going to hit a lot harder, your Viego is going to hit a lot harder. But really, the important bit of this is that armor for Marcus is just going to make him basically a frontliner and also a massive damage dealer that is going to be unrespondable to by most of Saigon unless they're able to focus him down very quickly.
I'm still waiting for the Lord Dominic's regard to be picked up by Shogun, but looking from what he's building, I think he might be going towards... Actually, I don't know what he's going towards.
It can go to Lord Doms. No, it can still go to Lord Doms, because it's two long swords that go into the weird bow-looking thing that ends up building into Lord Doms. I cannot remember. I think Last Whisper is what it's called.
He's got the critical strike cloak. Okay, never mind. Actually, hookshot coming in. Taki's going to devour Shogun, who's able to flash away. Now just trying to do damage onto Marcus, but Marcus is still full health. Froggy practically dead, forced to go golden, and Shogun 3-0 is not having the impact. Moonlight Vigil doesn't even land onto Slater. It's now a 2v4. Shogun desperately trying to kill Slater, but unable to do so. 4 kills for 1. Team Flash coming out on top 24 minutes in, and Team Flash will take the first step to destroying Saigon Buffalo. They could even end the game. It is only Beanjay left alive. Taki up in 7 seconds time. This will be a 2v4. Beanjay, we said he had one of his best ever performances in game 1. He needs to make the play of his life right now, but he's going to be unable to do so. And it is a Team Flash who will take the 2-1 win over Saigon Buffalo.
What a performance from Team Flash, kicking off